What if I told you that some foods can outlive you, your children, and possibly even your grandchildren? While most of us panic when milk expires after a week, Amish communities have quietly mastered food preservation techniques that make modern refrigeration look like a passing fad. These 15 Amish food preservation methods aren't just old-fashioned curiosities. They're survival skills that modern preppers are desperately trying to rediscover. Honey. Imagine opening a 3,000-year-old Egyptian tomb and finding something still perfectly edible inside. That's exactly what archaeologists discovered with honey, a truly immortal food that defies time itself. While most of us struggle to keep leftovers fresh for 3 days, this golden treasure remains unspoiled for millennia. The Amish have long recognized honey's remarkable staying power, making it a cornerstone of their food preservation strategy. Their approach is refreshingly simple. Store raw honey in glass jars with tight-fitting lids, then keep these precious containers in cool, dark places throughout their homes. No fancy equipment or complicated techniques required, just wisdom passed down through generations. One crucial tip the Amish strictly follow might surprise you. Never refrigerate honey. Keeping honey cold actually accelerates crystallization, turning that smooth, pourable gold into a grainy mess. Room temperature storage between 55 to 70 degrees maintains honey's perfect consistency year after year. Of course, crystallization doesn't mean the honey has spoiled. A warm water bath will restore it to its flowing glory. But why create extra work? The secret behind honey's immortality lies in its remarkable natural properties. With an incredibly low moisture content and high acidity, honey creates an environment where bacteria simply cannot survive. Add to that the presence of hydrogen peroxide naturally produced by enzymes in honey, and you've got nature's most perfect preservative. Anyone who's tasted raw honey from an Amish market knows there's simply no comparison to the mass-produced varieties found in plastic bears on supermarket shelves. The difference isn't just in the flavor, though that rich, complex sweetness certainly stands out, but in the quality of preservation. Commercial honey often undergoes ultrafiltration and pasteurization, processes that extend shelf stability but remove many beneficial compounds. Next time you're near an Amish community, stop by a roadside stand and pick up a jar of their honey. It might just be the only food in your pantry that your great-grandchildren could safely enjoy. As one Amish farmer quipped, "We don't worry about expiration dates on honey jars. The jar will break before the honey goes bad." Dried beans? Walk into any Amish pantry and you'll immediately notice the rainbow of dried beans lining the shelves. These humble legumes form the backbone of food security in Amish communities, providing crucial protein and sustenance through long winters and unpredictable times. While the rest of us might stock our emergency kits with freeze-dried meals and energy bars, the Amish have relied on this simple, effective preservation method for centuries. Why did the bean go to the doctor? It was feeling a little dried out, but that's exactly what makes them perfect for long-term storage. Navy beans, with their small white appearance and mild flavor, remain particularly popular among Amish families. These versatile beans disappear into soups and stews, providing hearty nutrition without overwhelming other ingredients. Pinto beans, with their speckled appearance that fades to a uniform pink when cooked, find their way into countless Amish casseroles. Black beans round out the trinity of most stored varieties, adding striking color and robust flavor to winter meals when fresh vegetables become distant memories. The preservation process for beans demonstrates the careful attention to detail that characterizes Amish food storage. Freshly harvested beans undergo thorough drying, often spread on clean sheets under the summer sun until completely moisture-free. The beans then move to glass storage containers, never plastic, which can allow tiny amounts of moisture to penetrate over time. Many Amish families incorporate oxygen absorbers into their bean storage, small packets that remove oxygen from the sealed container and prevent the oxidation that eventually makes beans impossible to soften. With proper drying and storage techniques, beans easily last 30 years or more. An entire generation can grow up eating from the same carefully preserved harvest. An elderly Amish woman shares a clever preparation tip passed down through 5 generations. Add a quarter teaspoon of baking soda to the soaking water for dried beans, and you'll cut the cooking time in half. This simple kitchen chemistry works by creating an alkaline environment that breaks down the bean's cell structure more quickly. When you're cooking with fuel sources like wood or gas that must be carefully conserved, such time-saving methods become invaluable. The nutritional staying power of dried beans makes them particularly valuable in the Amish preservation arsenal. Unlike many preserved foods that lose nutrients over time, properly stored dried beans maintain their impressive protein content, about 15 grams per cup when cooked, for decades. Sauerkraut. The tangy aroma of fermenting cabbage signals the arrival of autumn in Amish country. Large stoneware crocks stand like sentinels in cool, dark corners of cellars, filled with what many might dismiss as simple pickled cabbage. But these vessels contain something far more valuable, a living food that improves with age and delivers remarkable health benefits. Traditional fermentation methods passed down through generations of Amish families turn ordinary cabbage into extraordinary sauerkraut. The magic begins with precision. Exactly 3 tablespoons of salt mixed into 5 pounds of cabbage creates the perfect environment for beneficial bacteria to thrive while harmful microbes perish. This perfect balance comes from centuries of careful observation, not modern measuring tools. Cabbage shredded paper thin gets packed tightly into crocks, where salt pulls moisture from the vegetable to create its own brining liquid. An interesting fact about this process: no vinegar is ever added. The sour taste develops naturally as lactobacillus bacteria convert sugars in the cabbage into lactic acid, creating that distinctive tang we associate with properly made sauerkraut. During fermentation, which typically takes 3 to 6 weeks depending on room temperature, these beneficial bacteria multiply dramatically. A single serving of Amish sauerkraut often contains more diverse probiotics than expensive supplements sold in health food stores. These microorganisms support healthy digestion and strengthen the immune system, something Amish families have intuitively understood long before scientific studies confirmed these benefits. Once fermentation completes, the Amish transfer their sauerkraut to sterilized glass jars for long-term storage in cool basements. Unlike commercially produced versions, which undergo pasteurization that kills beneficial bacteria, Amish sauerkraut remains alive with active cultures. These jars can safely stay preserved for over 2 years, with many Amish households reporting that the flavor actually improves during the second year of storage. The cultural importance of sauerkraut in Amish communities extends beyond mere sustenance. Kraut making often becomes a community event where neighbors gather to process large batches together. Children learn the craft by watching elders, absorbing both the practical skills and the values of cooperation and resourcefulness that define the Amish way of life. As modern science catches up to traditional wisdom, researchers have confirmed what the Amish have known through experience. Fermented foods create an internal environment where good health can flourish. The simple combination of cabbage, salt, and thyme produces something far greater than the sum of its parts. Fermented root vegetables. Root cellars throughout Amish country hold colorful treasures that modern supermarkets can't match. Carrots, glowing orange, beets in deep ruby red, and turnips in creamy white fill glass jars with vibrant hues that hint at concentrated nutrition. These vegetables undergo a transformation that preserves not just their calories, but enhances their health benefits through the ancient art of lactofermentation. What happens when a carrot stays underwater for months? It doesn't drown, it becomes delicious. This preservation method keeps root vegetables crisp and flavorful long after fresh ones would have withered away. The salt brine that forms the foundation of this preservation method follows a specific formula. 2 tablespoons of salt dissolved in each quart of water creates the perfect balance. Too little salt allows harmful bacteria to grow. Too much prevents the beneficial fermentation from starting. This simple ratio, carried in the memories of Amish women rather than written in cookbooks, produces consistent results year after year. Unlike modern food preservation that often strips away nutrition, fermentation actually increases the health benefits of these vegetables. The process breaks down cell walls, making minerals more available for absorption by the body. Vitamin levels, particularly B vitamins, increase substantially. One fascinating discovery: fermented beets contain nearly twice the available iron of their fresh counterparts. Temperature plays a crucial role in successful fermentation. Amish families store their fermenting vegetables in areas that maintain temperatures between 32 to 50 degrees. Root cellars dug into hillsides provide this ideal range naturally without electricity. The slight seasonal fluctuations in these storage areas actually contribute to the complex flavor development that mass-produced fermented foods can't duplicate. The Amish preference for lactofermentation connects to their broader philosophy of self-sufficiency. By harnessing natural processes rather than relying on modern technology, they maintain independence from the outside world while producing food that serves their families throughout the year. A quart jar of fermented carrots represents not just sustenance but a statement about their relationship with the land and their community. When bubbles stop rising in the fermentation vessel, typically after 1 to 3 weeks, the vegetables move to cold storage. Unlike canning, which requires precise timing, fermentation follows visual cues that children learn to recognize from an early age. This intuitive approach to food preservation ensures that valuable knowledge passes from one generation to the next without formal instruction. Maple syrup. Sweet amber liquid flows from trees to tables across Amish communities each spring, capturing sunshine in a bottle that never spoils. Real maple syrup stands as one of nature's most remarkable foods, not only delicious, but virtually immortal when properly stored. This natural sweetener holds a special place in Amish kitchens, where families treasure both its flavor and its impressive shelf stability. The preservation of this woodland treasure begins with careful handling during the production process. Amish families heat their syrup to exactly 180 degrees before bottling it in thoroughly sterilized containers. This precise temperature kills any potential spoilage organisms without damaging the delicate flavor compounds that make pure maple syrup so distinctive. The heated syrup then goes immediately into hot containers, creating a vacuum seal as it cools. Did you know it takes 40 gallons of maple sap to produce just 1 gallon of syrup? This remarkable concentration explains why real maple syrup lasts indefinitely. The sugar content is so high that bacteria simply cannot survive in it. The Amish respect this natural bounty by using storage methods that preserve every drop of this precious liquid that represents weeks of labor collecting sap from sugar maple trees. Properly sealed maple syrup gets stored in cool, dark places throughout Amish households. Unlike honey, which should never see the inside of a refrigerator, maple syrup benefits from refrigeration after opening. This simple storage distinction makes all the difference in preserving the quality of these natural sweeteners. Unopened bottles remain perfectly good for decades when kept in a cool pantry away from direct light. The annual maple syrup season brings communities together as Amish families help each other tap trees and tend to evaporators. The sweet steam rising from sugar shacks signals winter's end and spring's arrival, making syrup production as much a celebration as a necessary food preservation activity. Even when maple syrup does eventually develop small amounts of harmless mold on its surface after opening, Amish frugality ensures nothing goes to waste. The syrup simply gets reheated to boiling, skimmed, and used for baking rather than direct consumption. This practical approach to food management extends the useful life of even compromised syrup indefinitely. Eggs. Breakfast tables across America would look very different without eggs, but modern refrigeration has made us forget a simple truth that Amish communities remember well. Eggs can last much longer than most people realize. Through clever preservation techniques, Amish families extend the shelf life of eggs from mere weeks to many months without electricity or modern conveniences. The humble egg comes in its own nearly perfect package with a protective bloom coating that naturally preserves freshness. Amish families avoid washing eggs until just before use, preserving this natural barrier against bacteria. They collect eggs daily and handle them minimally, keeping the protective coating intact. This simple practice alone significantly extends freshness compared to commercially processed eggs that get washed immediately, removing their natural protection. Have you ever wondered why some pickled eggs turn pink? They're not embarrassed. They've just been pickled with beets. This bright color isn't just for show. It also signals that the preservation process is working properly. One of the most popular Amish egg preservation methods transforms ordinary eggs into tangy treats that last for months in the refrigerator. The perfect pickling solution combines 2 cups vinegar, 1 cup water, 2 tablespoons sugar, and 1 tablespoon salt. This acidic bath creates an environment where harmful bacteria cannot survive. effectively preserving the egg indefinitely. The science behind pickled eggs is fascinating. The vinegar's acidity penetrates the eggshell's thousands of tiny pores, effectively curing the egg throughout. This process changes both the texture and flavor, creating a uniquely preserved food that bears little resemblance to its fresh counterpart but offers its own culinary pleasures. For Amish families who raise chickens, seasonal fluctuations in egg production present practical challenges. Hens naturally lay more eggs during spring and summer when daylight hours increase. Traditional preservation methods allow families to enjoy eggs year-round despite these natural cycles. Rather than forcing unnatural production through artificial lighting, they simply preserve the abundance when it occurs naturally. Dehydrated herbs. Bundles of fragrant herbs hang from ceiling beams in Amish kitchens, slowly surrendering their moisture to the air. This ancient preservation technique transforms fresh herbs into potent flavor bombs that last through the long winter months. Unlike modern electric dehydrators that use precise temperature controls, Amish herb drying relies on careful placement and patience. The drying temperature never exceeds 95 degrees, preserving the delicate oils that give herbs their distinctive flavors and medicinal properties. Achieving this perfect temperature without electronic thermostats requires knowledge passed down through generations. Herbs hang in areas with good air circulation, but away from direct sunlight, which would degrade their color and potency. String bundles tied with simple cotton twine create the perfect drying environment. The Amish carefully harvest herbs in the morning after dew has dried, but before the midday sun triggers oil evaporation. This timing maximizes the flavor and healing compounds in each leaf and stem. Plants cut at their peak potency retain more of their beneficial properties through the drying process. Ever tried to crush a dried herb and got nothing but dust? That won't happen with properly dried Amish herbs. They maintain just enough moisture to release aromatic oils when crushed without crumbling into powder. A simple test reveals proper drying. Crush a leaf between your fingers. It should crumble easily while releasing a strong aroma. If the herb bends instead of breaking, it needs more drying time. I heard about an Amish grandfather who could identify every herb in his storage jars blindfolded, just by their smell. Apparently, he once grabbed dried mint instead of basil for his tomato sauce. The family still talks about his toothpaste spaghetti decades later. Dark glass jars provide the perfect home for dried herbs. The Amish add small oxygen absorber packets to these containers, extending shelf life dramatically. Stored in cool, dark places, properly dried herbs maintain potency for 1 to 3 years. Leafy herbs like basil and cilantro last about a year, while hardy rosemary and thyme remain potent for up to 3 years. Herb drying exemplifies the Amish approach to food preservation, working with nature's rhythms rather than against them. By understanding each plant's properties and harvesting at optimal times, they create a pantry that sustains them through the year without electricity or chemical preservatives. These dried herbs connect meals throughout the year to the summer garden's bounty. Pickled vegetables. Cucumber pickles might dominate supermarket shelves, but step into an Amish pantry and discover a rainbow of pickled vegetables that transforms ordinary produce into extraordinary preserved foods. Carrots maintain their bright orange glow, green beans snap with tangy crispness, cauliflower holds its snowy white color, and peppers add vibrant reds and yellows to winter meals months after the garden has frozen. The pickling process transforms perishable summer vegetables into stable foods that last up to 2 years when properly stored. Many Amish families create end-of-garden mixed pickles that capture whatever vegetables remain as the growing season ends. This practical approach prevents waste while creating unique flavor combinations that change slightly from year to year. Making these pickled treasures requires precise timing. Vegetables must be processed within hours of harvesting, when their cellular structure is strongest. This quick transition from garden to jar ensures the vegetables remain crisp even after months in the brine. Pint jars of mixed vegetables process for exactly 10 minutes in a boiling water bath, creating a secure seal while maintaining vegetable texture. A pickle walks into a doctor's office. The doctor says, "I can't see you." The pickle replies, "Why not?" And the doctor says, "Because I'm not supposed to see patients after they've been preserved." The Amish have pioneered creative combinations that commercial producers rarely attempt. Sweet and sour pickled carrots with dill, spicy pickled cauliflower with mustard seeds, or green beans with garlic and pepper flakes create distinctive flavors far beyond basic dill or sweet pickles. These variations add welcome brightness to winter meals when fresh produce is scarce. Pickling brine uses simple ingredients. Vinegar provides acidity that prevents spoilage. Salt enhances flavors while drawing moisture from vegetables, and sugar balances tartness in some recipes. The Amish prefer apple cider vinegar made from their own orchards, creating a sustainable cycle where one preserved food, apple cider vinegar, helps create another, pickled vegetables. Cool, dark storage areas maintain pickle quality for the longest possible time. Unlike fermented foods that continue to develop flavor in storage, pickled vegetables reach their peak after about a month and maintain that quality for many months after. When properly made and stored, these colorful jars bring summer's bounty to the table long after harvest season has ended. Apple butter. The rich aroma of apples and cinnamon drifts across Amish communities each fall as large copper kettles bubble over open fires. Inside these kettles, a transformation happens that turns ordinary apples into a preserve so stable it lasts for years without refrigeration. Apple butter, despite its name, contains no dairy at all, just apples cooked down to a thick, spreadable consistency that captures autumn's essence in a jar. Making apple butter becomes a community event in many Amish settlements. Neighbors gather around a central fire where a copper kettle holds up to 25 gallons of slowly cooking apple pulp. Long-handled wooden paddles stir the mixture constantly to prevent scorching. This continuous stirring creates apple butter's distinctive smooth texture while allowing excess moisture to evaporate. The process often continues for 6 to 8 hours, with families taking turns at the stirring paddle. Higher sugar content and natural acidity explain why apple butter lasts longer than standard jam. As apples cook down, their natural sugars concentrate, creating an environment where bacteria struggle to survive. This concentration gives apple butter its deep brown color and caramelized flavor notes that regular applesauce lacks. The longer cooking time also reduces water content, further improving shelf stability. Why does apple butter last so long? I heard it's because bacteria take one taste and say, "No thanks, I'll come back when you've got something less delicious." The canning process requires precise attention to detail. Each sterilized jar receives hot apple butter with exactly 1/4 inch of headspace at the top. This specific measurement allows for proper expansion during processing without compromising the seal. A water bath for exactly 10 minutes creates a vacuum seal that protects the contents for years to come. Many Amish families add a cinnamon stick to each jar before sealing, allowing subtle spice notes to develop during storage. Unlike many preserved foods that deteriorate in quality over time, apple butter's flavor often improves during the first few months after canning as these spices permeate the preserve. The deep flavors of well-made apple butter transform ordinary toast into something extraordinary, bringing summer sunshine to dark winter mornings. The practical wisdom behind apple butter exemplifies Amish resourcefulness, creating something that lasts from ingredients that would otherwise spoil. Fall's apple abundance becomes winter's breakfast staple through a process that wastes nothing and brings community together. Tomatoes. Ruby red jars line cellar shelves throughout Amish country, each containing summer sunshine captured at its peak. Preserved tomatoes form the foundation of winter meals, providing essential vitamins and bright flavor when fresh produce becomes a distant memory. Unlike many vegetables that require pressure canning, tomatoes can be safely processed in a water bath thanks to their natural acidity. Though Amish canners know a crucial safety step many modern recipes overlook, the varieties chosen for canning reveal generations of practical wisdom. Roma and San Marzano tomatoes appear most frequently in Amish canning jars because these meaty varieties contain less water and more flesh than slicing tomatoes. This natural density creates a richer final product without requiring additional cooking time. Some families grow these varieties exclusively for preserving, selecting for traits like thick walls and few seeds over generations. Adding exactly 1 tablespoon of lemon juice to each pint jar ensures safety in water bath canning. This small but critical step increases acidity to levels that prevent botulism growth, addressing the reality that modern tomato varieties often contain less natural acid than heirloom types. Safety never takes a backseat to tradition in Amish canning practices. Proper sealing techniques extend shelf life dramatically. After processing, Amish families remove rings from their canning jars once the lids have sealed. This counterintuitive step prevents false seals, where food trapped between the ring and jar creates the illusion of safety while allowing spoilage underneath. These small details, passed down through generations, prevent food waste and protect family health. A tomato and a bell pepper were sitting next to each other in an Amish canning pantry. The bell pepper says, "Wow, it's really crowded in here." The tomato replies, "Yeah, I'm feeling a bit jarred by the whole situation." Preserved tomatoes serve purposes far beyond basic soups and sauces in Amish kitchens. Winter breakfasts might feature eggs poached in seasoned canned tomatoes. Special occasions call for tomato jam spiced with cinnamon and cloves, a surprising delicacy that pairs beautifully with cheese. Some families even create tomato-based cocktails that bring celebration to winter gatherings when fresh ingredients are scarce. Through simple but precise methods, Amish families transform summer's most prolific crop into versatile ingredients that sustain them through the year. The jars stack neatly on pantry shelves, each representing hours of garden tending, harvesting, and processing that connect seasons in a continuous cycle of plenty. Pressure can meats. Mason jars filled with tender chunks of beef, chicken, and venison might surprise visitors to Amish pantries. These shelf-stable meats require no refrigeration, yet remain safe and delicious for 3 or more years. The secret lies in precise pressure canning techniques that have been perfected through generations of practice. When modern freezers fail during power outages, these jars of perfectly preserved protein continue to feed families without interruption. The process begins with careful meat preparation. Amish cooks cut beef, chicken, or venison into uniform chunks that will heat evenly during processing. Each clean jar receives meat pieces packed loosely, leaving an inch of headspace at the top. A crucial addition of exactly 1 teaspoon of salt per quart jar enhances flavor while helping with preservation. No liquid gets added. The meat produces its own broth during processing. Pressure canning requires specialized equipment that reaches temperatures far higher than boiling water. While water boils at 212 degrees, a pressure canner reaches 240 degrees, the temperature needed to destroy dangerous botulism spores that water bath canning cannot kill. This scientific understanding remains central to Amish food safety practices. Jars process at precisely 10 pounds of pressure for exactly 90 minutes, creating a product that remains safe for years. They say chicken is the most nervous meat to can because it's always under pressure. But with proper techniques, even the most anxious poultry transforms into convenient, ready-to-eat meals. The quality of home canned meat surpasses commercial varieties in both texture and flavor. Without chemical preservatives or excessive salt, the natural meat flavors shine through. Opening a jar releases the aroma of a slow-cooked roast, though the actual cooking time was relatively brief. The pressure canning process essentially pre-cooks the meat while sealing in its juices, creating tender pieces that need only minimal preparation to become part of a meal. In Amish households, these jars provide instant meal starters throughout the year. A jar of chicken becomes chicken and dumplings in minutes. Canned beef transforms quickly into stroganoff or stew. Venison makes hearty sandwiches without hours of cooking. This convenience served families long before modern shortcut ingredients existed, proving that efficiency in the kitchen doesn't require modern technology, just careful planning and proven preservation methods. Bone broth. Nothing demonstrates Amish frugality better than their approach to bones. What many would discard becomes liquid gold through careful processing that captures every bit of nutrition from livestock and game animals. Rich, gelatinous bone broth fills countless jars in Amish pantries, providing both flavor and nutrition throughout the year. This traditional food has become trendy in recent years, but Amish families have valued it for centuries as both medicine and cooking essential. Creating proper bone broth requires patience. Bones simmer for 12 to 24 hours, releasing minerals, collagen, and flavor compounds impossible to extract with shorter cooking methods. This slow extraction produces a broth so rich it solidifies like jello when refrigerated, a sign of successful collagen extraction that commercial products rarely achieve. The nutritional profile surpasses store-bought broths with significantly higher protein content and minerals including calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus in forms the body can easily absorb. Safety concerns make pressure canning mandatory for bone broth preservation. The low acidity creates a perfect environment for botulism growth if improperly processed. Amish canners follow strict safety protocols, processing pint jars for 25 minutes and quart jars for a full 90 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure. This attention to processing times protects families from dangerous foodborne illness while extending shelf life to at least a year. A cow, chicken, and pig were arguing about whose bones make the best broth. The cow said, "Mine have the most minerals." The chicken said, "Mine have the best flavor." The pig just smiled and said, "Face it, I'm just more stock market friendly." Uses for bone broth extend far beyond soup bases in Amish kitchens. Rice cooked in broth instead of water absorbs additional nutrition and flavor. Gravies made with homemade broth need less seasoning due to the concentrated flavor. Even plain broth sipped from a mug serves as traditional medicine for everything from digestive troubles to joint pain, a practice modern research increasingly supports. Waste avoidance motivates much of Amish bone broth production. Animals raised or hunted for food deserve complete utilization out of both respect and practicality. This nose-to-tail approach to food production creates a sustainable cycle where everything serves a purpose and nothing goes to waste. Lard. Before vegetable oils dominated kitchen shelves, rendered animal fat served as the primary cooking medium in homes across America. This tradition continues in Amish communities where lard remains a pantry essential preserved for long-term use. Pure lard from pasture-raised pigs provides a cooking fat with a high smoke point and rich flavor that modern substitutes can't match. When properly rendered and stored, this useful fat remains stable for 5 or more years. Rendering transforms raw pork fat into shelf-stable lard through a careful process that Amish families have perfected. Fresh fat gets cut into small pieces and cooked over low heat for approximately 3 hours. This gentle approach prevents scorching while allowing impurities to separate from the pure fat. As the fat liquefies, it passes through tightly woven cheesecloth, resulting in a clean white product free from particles that might cause rancidity during storage. The filling process requires attention to detail. Hot jars receive hot lard, leaving a consistent 1-inch headspace at the top of each container. This precise measurement allows for proper expansion during processing without compromising the seal. The filled jars then move to a pressure canner where they process at 10 pounds of pressure for 90 minutes, the same processing time required for meat products. This thorough canning ensures that no bacteria survive to cause spoilage. You know you're in an Amish kitchen when the cook says, "Pass the lard," and 3 different family members reach for it. This humble ingredient gets more daily use than fancy olive oils ever would. Properly preserved lard offers distinct advantages over commercial shortening. Its flavor enhances both sweet and savory dishes, creating pastry crusts with unmatched flakiness. Unlike hydrogenated vegetable shortenings, traditional lard contains no trans fats. It actually provides a healthier fat profile than many modern alternatives, with nearly 50% monounsaturated fat, the same heart-healthy fat found in olive oil. The preservation of lard represents more than culinary preference in Amish culture. It embodies a commitment to using every part of an animal respectfully. Rather than purchasing processed cooking fats, families create their own from animals they've raised themselves, maintaining control over both quality and origin. This self-sufficient approach extends through every aspect of food production and preservation, connecting daily sustenance to deeply held values of stewardship and care. Butter. The golden blocks of butter found in modern refrigerators bear little resemblance to the preserved butter that Amish families have made for generations. Using a surprising preservation technique unknown to most modern cooks, butter can be safely stored without refrigeration for years rather than days. This method transforms a highly perishable dairy product into a shelf-stable pantry staple that retains its flavor and usefulness long after production. The preservation process begins with fresh butter. often made from cream skimmed from the family's own cows. The butter melts completely in a heavy pot, allowing water to separate from butterfat. This water, which normally limits butter's shelf life by providing a medium for bacterial growth, rises to the surface where it evaporates during gentle simmering. The clarified butter then pours into hot, sterilized jars, leaving appropriate headspace for proper sealing. After filling, the jars process in a boiling water bath for 60 minutes, much longer than many modern canners might expect. This extended processing time ensures complete sterilization and creates a vacuum seal that prevents oxygen from reaching the butter. Properly processed jars then move to cool, dark storage areas where temperatures remain below 75 degrees. Under these conditions, the preserved butter remains usable for cooking and baking for up to 3 years. I tried to tell my city friend about preserved butter, and she said, "That can't be true. Butter goes bad in my fridge after a month." I told her, "That's because your butter hasn't learned the Amish secret of staying cool under pressure." Simple sensory tests help Amish families determine whether preserved butter remains good. The appearance should remain clear without cloudiness, and the smell should be clean without any hint of rancidity. If both tests pass, the butter remains safe for use even years after preservation. This self-reliant approach to food safety relies on careful observation rather than printed expiration dates. The taste of preserved butter differs slightly from fresh. It develops a more concentrated flavor similar to ghee used in Indian cooking. This intensified taste actually improves many baked goods, adding richness to breads and cookies that surpasses what fresh butter provides. For daily cooking, its high smoke point makes it ideal for sautéing and frying, outperforming fresh butter that burns at lower temperatures. Cheese. Hard to imagine cheese lasting for years without refrigeration? Step into an Amish pantry and discover jars of preserved cheese that remain shelf-stable for up to 2 years. This unexpected preservation technique transforms perishable dairy into convenient pantry staples through a process that might surprise even experienced home canners. While modern consumers rely on refrigeration to keep cheese edible for weeks, Amish families have perfected methods that extend that timeline dramatically. The preservation begins with hard cheeses like cheddar, Colby, and Swiss, varieties with lower moisture content that process more reliably. The cheese gets grated or cubed to ensure even heating throughout the jar. Unlike other canning processes that simply heat food to kill bacteria, cheese preservation involves a fascinating chemical transformation that changes both texture and stability. Gentle heat melts the cheese, while a critical addition of baking soda, exactly 1/4 teaspoon per pound of cheese, prevents the fat from separating during processing. This precise measurement makes all the difference between successful preservation and an oily mess. The melted cheese mixture fills hot, sterilized jars, leaving appropriate headspace before processing begins. Did you hear about the cheese that went to an Amish preservation class? It wanted to learn how to mature without getting moldy. Turns out it just needed a little time in a hot water bath. The water bath processing time varies based on jar size, with pints requiring 40 minutes at a full rolling boil. During this time, the cheese undergoes a complete transformation, becoming a product similar to processed cheese but without commercial additives or preservatives. The sealed jars cool slowly to room temperature before moving to storage shelves in cool, dark areas throughout Amish homes. Preserved cheese serves multiple purposes in Amish kitchens. The shelf-stable jars provide ready protein for quick meals when refrigeration isn't available. The consistent melting quality makes it perfect for macaroni and cheese or casserole toppings. During summer months when milk production is high, but keeping cheese cool presents challenges, this preservation method prevents waste while creating convenient winter meal ingredients. Cheese preservation represents the Amish commitment to self-sufficiency throughout seasonal changes. By controlling the entire process from milk production to preservation, families maintain independence from commercial food systems while ensuring nutrition remains available year-round. This practical approach transforms potential waste into lasting nourishment through simple techniques refined across generations. These 15 Amish food preservation methods reveal timeless wisdom that transforms ordinary ingredients into extraordinary pantry staples. Their techniques combine precision, patience, and practicality, creating a self-sufficient food system that ensures nutrition year-round while honoring their values of stewardship, community, and resourcefulness.